Real Madrid has officially collapsed into a state of absolute, unprecedented chaos, with the dressing room completely turning on Kylian Mbappe and manager Álvaro Arbeloa in a terrifying mutiny that has sent shockwaves through the football world. The Santiago Bernabeu is no longer a sanctuary of elite football. It has devolved into a toxic war zone where physical fights are breaking out during training sessions, players are openly refusing to speak to their manager, and the club's most expensive Galactico has become public enemy number one. This explosive, catastrophic meltdown has exposed the deep, uncomfortable truth about Florentino Perez's latest project, proving that the entire institution is rapidly tearing itself apart from the inside out. The foundation of this massive crisis stems from fresh, devastating revelations that highlight a growing internal dilemma threatening to destroy the club's entire season. Real Madrid are currently facing a complete nightmare scenario, sitting a massive 11 points behind fierce rivals Barcelona in La Liga and having already been humiliatingly knocked out of the Champions League by Bayern Munich. The pressure of facing a second consecutive trophyless season has completely shattered the harmony within the squad. The frustration that led to Xabi Alonso's sacking back in January has not been resolved. Instead, it has mutated into a vicious, uncontrollable anger that is now spilling over into physical violence. According to explosive reports from Spanish outlet Marca, the tension at the Valdebebas training ground has reached a terrifying tipping point. Star midfielders Federico Valverde and Aurelien Tchouameni were recently involved in a heated, aggressive argument during a training session that shockingly escalated into a physical confrontation. The two players were seen aggressively pushing one another on the pitch before continuing their furious dispute inside the dressing room. This is not just a minor disagreement. This is a clear indication that the immense pressure of a failing season has completely broken the bonds of brotherhood that once defined this squad. This shocking physical altercation is not an isolated incident. It comes just days after another terrifying report revealed that Antonio Rudiger actually slapped Álvaro Carreras during a separate training session. The fact that players are resorting to physical violence against their own teammates reflects exactly how disjointed and toxic the environment has become. The protective walls of the Valdebebas have completely fallen, and the discontented voices within the locker room are now making their frustrations known through these aggressive, unacceptable outbursts. Subscribe now and help me reach 1,000 subscribers by May 15th. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any update. But the players are not just fighting each other, they have also launched a massive, unprecedented mutiny against their manager. The dressing room has grown incredibly frustrated with Álvaro Arbeloa, to the point where an astonishing 6 players are reportedly refusing to even speak to the Spanish boss. Arbeloa has completely lost control of his squad, and his authority has been entirely undermined by the chaos unfolding around him. The players no longer believe in his vision, and this silent protest is a devastating blow to a manager who is desperately trying to salvage what is left of this disastrous campaign. At the absolute center of this catastrophic meltdown is Kylian Mbappe. The French superstar may have the goals, but according to veteran Real Madrid reporter Jorge C. Picon, he has brought absolutely nothing else to the club. The locker room has slowly but surely turned on their marquee signing, blaming his complete lack of defensive effort as one of the primary reasons for the team's massive underperformance. The players are tired of carrying the weight for a superstar who refuses to sacrifice for the collective structure, and the frustration has finally boiled over into open hostility. The situation escalated dramatically when images surfaced of Mbappe vacationing in Italy with his partner, Esther Exposito, while the club was burning to the ground. This incredibly poorly timed trip hit hard back home, deeply annoying his teammates who are desperately trying to save the season. Picon reports that Real Madrid players are now openly questioning the nature of Mbappe's injury and have noted multiple instances of him not giving his all to the team, including a shocking lack of effort during training sessions. The Golden Boy, who disrupted their harmony 2 years ago, is now facing the full, brutal wrath of a squad that feels completely betrayed. What makes this situation even more explosive is the stark contrast between Mbappe and Vinicius Jr. While Vinicius was once viewed as a controversial figure, he is now emerging as the true leader of this squad. The players are actively going to bat for the Brazilian, highlighting Mbappe's massive flaws for the sake of balance. They view Vinicius as someone who bleeds for the badge and gives everything to the club, while Mbappe is increasingly viewed as a mercenary who prioritizes his own numbers and personal life over the success of Real Madrid. The tension surrounding Mbappe is not just limited to his teammates. According to reports from The Athletic, many people around the club are absolutely furious about a shocking incident that took place at the training ground between Mbappe and a member of the coaching staff. The Frenchman apparently lashed out at a coach incredibly rudely, and the squad is deeply unhappy with how the leadership handled the situation. Even manager Álvaro Arbeloa is said to be incredibly frustrated with Mbappe, and he is reportedly willing to let that frustration be known in what could be his final days in charge. Florentino Perez and the Real Madrid hierarchy have essentially created a monster. They have allowed Mbappe to behave as if he is completely above the law, above the club, and able to treat ancillary members of the staff with absolute bitterness. He has tried to emulate Cristiano Ronaldo, but the mimicry has been entirely superficial. Ronaldo was never a serial loser who put his own numbers before the club, nor did he treat his teammates and staff with such blatant disrespect. Mbappe has run completely amok, and the plumes of smoke have finally caught the attention of the entire footballing world. The frustration has now spilled over from the dressing room directly into the fan base. Real Madrid supporters have officially turned on Kylian Mbappe, launching a massive, viral online petition demanding that the star striker be sold immediately. The petition, which was created in response to his controversial Italian holiday, has astonishingly gathered nearly 20 million signatures. The fans are demanding change, and they are refusing to remain silent while their beloved club is dragged through the mud by a player who refuses to respect the famous white shirt. Mbappe's representatives have desperately tried to defend the Frenchman, releasing a statement claiming that the criticism is based on an over-interpretation of a strictly supervised recovery period. They insist that the backlash does not reflect the reality of Kylian's commitment or the work he puts in every day. But these hollow words mean absolutely nothing to a fanbase and a dressing room that have already made up their minds. The damage has been done, the trust has been broken, and the relationship between Mbappe and Real Madrid appears to be completely irreparable. These explosive, terrifying incidents could not possibly come at a worse time for Real Madrid. The club is desperately preparing to face Barcelona in a massive El Clasico, knowing that just one single point will be enough for Hansi Flick's side to officially clinch the La Liga title. The prospect of watching their fiercest rivals celebrate a championship on their own turf, while their own squad is tearing itself apart in the dressing room, is an absolute nightmare scenario for Florentino Perez and the entire Real Madrid institution. How do you possibly prepare for the biggest game of the season when your players are physically fighting each other in training? How do you implement a tactical game plan when 6 of your players refuse to even speak to the manager? And most importantly, how do you unite a squad that has completely turned on its highest paid superstar? These are the impossible questions that Real Madrid are currently facing, and the answers are nowhere to be found. The coming days will be absolutely critical in determining the future of this historic club. The internal divisions within the dressing room have reached a point of no return, and the pressure from Florentino Perez will only intensify as the reality of a trophyless season sets in. The uncomfortable truth that Real Madrid are now being forced to face is that simply stockpiling elite attacking talent is not a guaranteed recipe for success. Football is a team sport that requires balance, sacrifice, and absolute dedication, 3 things that have been completely destroyed by the toxic environment currently suffocating the Santiago Bernabeu. As the scrutiny intensifies and the pressure mounts ahead of El Clasico, the entire football world is watching to see how Real Madrid will respond to this unprecedented crisis. Will Florentino Perez finally step in and put his overgrown golden boy in his place? Will Álvaro Arbeloa regain control of his fractured squad, or will he be the next casualty of this disastrous campaign? The battle lines have been drawn, the physical blows have been struck, and the ultimate power struggle at the Santiago Bernabeu has officially reached its terrifying climax. The reality is that Real Madrid has lost its identity. The club that once prided itself on professionalism, unity, and an unwavering commitment to winning has been reduced to a soap opera of egos and infighting. The fans who pack the Santiago Bernabeu every week do not recognize the team currently wearing the famous white shirt. They see a group of disconnected individuals who are more concerned with their personal brands and petty grievances than fighting for the badge on their chest. The 20 million signatures on the petition to sell Mbappe are not just a reaction to a poorly timed holiday. They are a desperate cry for help from a fan base that feels its club has been hijacked by a player who simply does not understand what it means to be a Madridista. If Florentino Perez does not take immediate, decisive action to restore order, the damage to the club's reputation and future prospects could be catastrophic. The choice they make in the coming weeks will define the trajectory of the club for years to come, and right now, the entire world is watching them tear themselves apart.